Let me tell you about the time Henry Ford was put on trial and publicly humiliated for not knowing basic American history. In 1919, Ford was sued for slander. During the trial, lawyers tried to prove he was ignorant by asking him simple questions about American history, and they succeeded. Ford thought the Revolutionary War happened in 1812. It actually happened in 1775. The court transcripts went viral. People laughed at him. But here's the thing: Henry Ford didn't care because Ford understood something that most people never figure out. What you know doesn't matter nearly as much as knowing where to find it. Ford built one of the most successful companies in history not because he was the smartest person in the room. He built it because he surrounded himself with people who had the answers he needed. And that distinction, knowing versus knowing where to find, is the difference between people who struggle for influence and people who seem to effortlessly attract it. Today, I want to share a framework for building real, lasting power, not the kind that comes from a job title or how much money you have, the kind that can never be taken away from you. We're going to cover the Henry Ford principle I just mentioned, why it's actually better to not know everything yourself. Then I'll tell you about a metal spoon that cost me $34 and why that matters for how you build relationships. And finally, we'll visit a night market in Thailand where one booth consistently outsold all the others, even though they were charging higher prices for the exact same products. By the end of this video, you'll understand how to position yourself as someone everyone wants to help. Someone who builds a network so valuable that even if you lost everything else, you'd still have what matters most. Let's get into it. So let's start with this idea that true power comes from knowing where to find, not from knowing everything yourself. Think about the two biggest information platforms in the world, Google and Reddit. What do they actually do? They don't create content. They don't have the answers themselves. They just help you find what you're looking for as fast as possible. And what happens? People trust them. People come back. People tell their friends about them. Now, here's where this gets practical for you. When someone asks you a question about something you're not an expert in, most people do one of two things. They either admit they don't know and the conversation ends, or they try to fake it and give a mediocre answer. Both of those are wrong. What you should do is say, you know what? I know exactly who can help you with that. And then you connect them with someone who actually is an expert. This does two powerful things at once. First, it strengthens your position as the go to person for information. You become the hub. People start coming to you first because they know even if you don't have the answer, you'll point them to someone who does. Second, it creates social equity with the expert you connected them to. You just sent them a warm lead. They owe you one now. This is how you become indispensable without having to know everything. You become the connector, the hub, the person who always knows a guy. Now, let me tell you about the metal spoon. My girlfriend and I had just finished a workout. We were starving. Walking down the street, we see two women in front of a restaurant holding a tray of free samples. Little paper cups with tiramisu. We each grabbed one, but the dessert needed a utensil. One of them asked, "Want a spoon?" I grabbed a metal spoon, said thank you, and started to walk away. Then I stopped. I was trapped. See, if she had given me a plastic spoon, I would have walked off without a second thought. Eaten the sample, tossed the spoon, never looked back. But a metal spoon? Convention says I need to return it. I couldn't just walk away. So I stood there, and she started telling me about the restaurant. Vegan, gluten-free Italian food. Now look, vegan, gluten-free Italian food is not really a thing, but we were already committed. We were hungry. We walked in and had lunch. $34 later, we waved goodbye to those women as we left. Well played. So what's the lesson here? It's about creating just enough friction to generate commitment. The metal spoon created a small obligation, a tiny bit of friction that kept us engaged long enough to make a decision we wouldn't have made otherwise. This is the principle behind doing favors for people. When you do someone a favor, even a small one, you create a little bit of that friction, a little bit of obligation. They feel like they owe you something. And this brings me to the second key principle. True power is maintaining a position where everybody owes you one and not the other way around. Here's how you do this practically: go out of your way to do favors for people, not big, time consuming favors, small ones. Someone you know releases a book. This is a congratulate them publicly and share it on social media. It takes you 30 seconds. Someone announces a new company, share word of it, takes you 1 minute. Someone's going through a hard time and reaching out for support, be the one who shows up. These favors take almost no time, effort, or money, but they create enormous goodwill. Here's my challenge to you: Do 5 to 10 small favors every day. That's it. Just look for opportunities to help people in tiny ways. A congratulations comment here, a share there, an introduction between two people who should know each other. If you do this consistently, something interesting happens. You build what I call an untouchable position. My friend Jayson Gaignard, who created Mastermind Talks, said something that stuck with me. He said, "Deep down inside, I knew in the worst case, the bank could take my car, they could take whatever measly assets I had left, but they couldn't take my network." That's the position you want to be in, where your network is your real asset, where you've built up so much goodwill that people want to help you. This isn't an overnight process. You won't see immediate rewards, but over time, you become someone who everyone wants in their corner. Now, let me take you to Thailand for the final piece of this puzzle. In a small town called Pai, there's a large market that opens every night. It has everything you'd expect: street food, cheap clothing, jewelry that looks unique but isn't. I noticed something strange. One booth had a constant crowd of people buying. Every night, same thing. This one booth was packed while the others weren't. So I investigated. I pushed through the crowd of tourists buying up what they were told was limited quantity inventory, and I was surprised to find that this booth was selling the exact same stuff as everyone else. But here's the kicker: they were charging higher prices, so what was going on? The booth looked different. It had a gold embroidered wall around it. That's it. That was the only difference. The owners understood something powerful. If you invest a little bit in creating the illusion of higher quality, you can sell the same product for more money. This is what psychologists call trappings, the external signals that suggest quality before anyone has evaluated the actual product. Nobel Prize winner Daniel Kahneman explained this phenomenon. He said people consider a particular value for an unknown quality before estimating that quality. In other words, we judge things by their packaging before we judge them by their substance. The other booth owners were trying to compete on price, selling cheap, and it was backfiring because the tourists would look at the cheap prices and assume the products must be low quality. The booth with the gold wall was charging more, and people assumed the higher price meant higher quality, even though it was the exact same stuff. So, what does this mean for you? Think about how you're presenting yourself, your ideas, your work, your network. Are you competing on price, trying to be the cheapest option, or are you investing in the trappings that signal quality? Sometimes the difference between being overlooked and being sought after isn't about changing what you offer, it's about changing how you present it. Let me bring this all together. First, true power comes from knowing where to find, not from knowing everything yourself. Build a network of experts, become the connector, be the hub that everyone comes to first. Second, maintain a position where everyone owes you one. Do 5 to 10 small favors every day. Congratulate people, share their work, make introductions. This builds an untouchable position that no one can take from you. Third, invest in how you present yourself. The gold wall principle. Small investments in perceived quality can dramatically change how people value what you offer. The metal spoon creates commitment. The favor creates obligation. The gold wall creates perceived value. Put all three together, and you become someone who attracts opportunity instead of chasing it. If this changed how you think about building influence, I'd love to hear which principle resonated most with you. Drop a comment below. And if you want more frameworks like this for building real power and influence, make sure you're subscribed. I break down ideas like this every week. I'll see you in the next one.